In the shadowy corridors of ancient history, the Gospels of the New Testament stand as towering monuments of Christian faith and culture. Yet, their origins and the hands that shaped them remain as elusive as the whispers of the past. These texts, revered by millions, are not just religious documents, but intricate puzzles that have baffled scholars for centuries. They are the recorded legacies of a man who walked the dusty roads of first-century Palestine, leaving behind a legacy that would change the world. But who wrote these accounts and why? How did they come to be? And what do they truly tell us about the man at their center, Jesus of Nazareth? The Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, are the focus of intense scholarly debate. These three texts share a striking similarity in structure and content, leading to what is known as the synoptic problem. The simplest explanation is the two-source hypothesis, which posits that Mark was the first gospel written, and both Matthew and Luke used Mark as a primary source, supplementing it with a collection of sayings known as Q. This hypothesis suggests that Matthew and Luke also had access to unique material, known as M and L, respectively. However, this explanation is not without its critics. Some scholars argue that the Q hypothesis is a convenient but unproven construct, designed to avoid the idea that Matthew and Luke might have simply borrowed from each other. The Q hypothesis, they claim, serves a conservative religious agenda by implicitly denying that the evangelists could have made up any of the material they share. Instead, it reassures us that the material we value in Matthew and Luke is genuinely older than those Gospels, and may even go back to Jesus himself. Yet, this is a hypothesis that modern gospel criticism cannot definitively prove. The complexity of the Synoptic Gospels is further illustrated by the unique characteristics of each. Matthew, for example, is often seen as the most Jewish of the Gospels, emphasizing Jesus' fulfillment of Old Testament prophecies and his role as the Messiah of Israel. Luke, on the other hand, presents a more universal message, highlighting Jesus' concern for the marginalized and the Gentiles. The differences in these approaches suggest that the evangelists were not merely transcribing a fixed set of traditions, but were actively shaping the material to fit their theological and pastoral purposes. One of the most striking examples of this shaping is Luke's parables. Unlike the shorter and more formulaic parables found in Mark and Matthew, Luke's parables are often long, complex stories with multiple layers of meaning. The parable of the prodigal son, for instance, is a rich narrative that explores themes of forgiveness, redemption, and the complexity of family dynamics. This level of detail and nuance raises the question: did these parables originate with Jesus, or are they the creative work of Luke himself? Another factor complicating the study of the Synoptics is the so-called Great Omission in Luke. While Luke generally follows the outline of Mark, he omits a significant section of Mark's Gospel, Mark chapters 6 through 8, verses 45 to 26. This omission has led some scholars to propose the existence of a proto-Mark, an earlier and shorter version of Mark that Luke used as his source. Similarly, the birth narratives in Luke chapters 1 to 2 are distinct in style and content from the rest of the Gospel. leading to the suggestion that they were a later addition to a proto-Luke. The relationship between Luke's Gospel and the Acts of the Apostles also adds to the mystery. Luke Acts is often considered a two-part work, with the same author and addressee, Theophilus. However, the lack of cross-references between the two books and the different contexts in which they were used in early Christianity have led some to question whether they were originally intended as a single work. The high literary quality of both texts, particularly the polished Greek, suggests a sophisticated author, possibly someone with a background in Greek rhetoric. The dating and location of the Synoptic Gospels are equally enigmatic. Mark, traditionally considered the earliest gospel, likely dates to around 70 CE, shortly after the destruction of the Jerusalem temple. This is inferred from Mark chapter 13, verses 14, which seems to allude to the Roman occupation of the temple. Matthew and Luke, aware of the events of 70 CE, must have been written later, probably in the 80s or 90s CE. However, the exact dates and locations of their composition remain uncertain. The fact that the Gospels are written in Greek rather than Aramaic suggests that they were composed for a largely Gentile audience, possibly in the regions where Paul's missionary work was most active. Despite centuries of research, the Synoptic Gospels remain a fascinating and challenging subject of study. They are not just historical documents, but living texts that continue to inspire and challenge readers today. The more we learn about their origins, the more we realize how much we still do not know. In the end, the Gospels are a testament to the enduring power of a story that has shaped human history in profound ways. In conclusion, the Synoptic Gospels are complex and layered texts that reflect the theological and pastoral concerns of their authors. While the Q hypothesis and other theories offer valuable insights, they also highlight the many unanswered questions that surround these ancient documents. The Gospels continue to be a rich source of study and reflection, inviting us to explore the depths of their meaning and the mystery of the man at their center.